greeted you might be to 1223. We just completed the Normans and the 100 Years' War, Jeanne d'Arc and French toasts and English longbowmans, you know the drill. We started in 1066 and now we went back in time, or we will go back in time. The Battle of the Kalka River, the Mongol Empire. Oh, the Mongol Empire. By the way, if you do not know, there is a guy on YouTube, a famous guy almost, and he's called Bazorik Vanji. Just Google Mongolian throat singing, and if you see a giant dressed in a green dress, with a ponytail, the black one, hanging down his right shoulder, you know that you found the right song. And he's throat singing, and he even made, or not he made, but another rather known Mongolian throat singing band made a music video, or several, with other instruments, and it's glorious. Just listen to it; it's cool. Shock and awe. You know, I hope you know the Mongol Empire. If you don't, damn it, get education, dude. Genghis Khan, who, in terms of percentage, as far as I know, killed most of humanity's population. In terms of percentage to world's population, he slaughtered a fourth? Something in that ballpark? I'm not sure, I need to research on that, but he killed a shitload of people. In percentage, much more than the Romans, or the British Empire, or the Nazis, or Stalin, or Mao ever could. The Mongol army made a thunderous arrival in the west. They would test their tactics and flex their might against an unsuspecting new enemy, the Rus. The Ruskies! They are still relevant today. The Mongols aren't so much, but we'll see. Oh, the next campaign is called The Rise of Moscow. What? Only 15 years difference? Interesting. A span of 300 years. That's interesting.
From the vast reaches of the Mongolian steppe, an army of over 100,000 men swept aside all resistance, claiming territories that spanned continents. Their leader, Genghis Khan, proclaimed his life's ambition was to unite the world under one empire. Having conquered the East, the Mongols turned their attention to the West, where they would come face to face with some of the greatest armies of medieval Europe. Would Genghis Khan's legendary warriors finally meet their match? By 1221, the Mongols had taken cities throughout Asia, generating vast amounts of tribute from those they conquered. The West, however, was still an untapped resource. Genghis Khan sent his trusted generals, Jebei and Subutai, to attack Europe. With an army of 20,000, Jebei and Subutai took the West by surprise, raiding cities and destroying armies. Within 2 years, they had the prosperous Rus territories in their sights. But in their way was a Rus army of over 40,000 men. Outnumbered, Jebe and Subutai turned and started to head back east. The Rus sensed an easy victory and set off in pursuit of their retreating enemies. For 8 days, the fast-moving Mongols stayed just out of reach. Then, Jebe and Subutai set their trap. They lured the Rus across the Kalka River and turned to fight. The Rus had fallen for one of the Mongols' most effective tactics, the feigned retreat. The stage was set for the Mongol army to test themselves against Europe's finest.
It's interesting to see that, historically speaking, the Rus were considered Europeans. And now the West wants to consider the East, China and Russia, as a separate entity. Even though technically, of course, there isn't even a continent called Europe, it's Eurasia. Europe and Asia are one big continent, but don't tell it to people, it's only going to confuse them. The great Mongol tactician, General Subutai, lured the Rus army to a battle site. He had carefully chosen the banks of the Kalka River. 10 years later.
The Mongols charged across the European plains, with the fatigued Rus army in close pursuit. The Rus had fallen for the Mongol tactic of the feigned retreat, and unknowingly followed them into peril. The Mongol general sprung his trap on the enemy scouts. With the Rus scouts cut down, General Subutai crossed the Kalka River. Here, he would stage a full-scale ambush on the vast Rus army. Subutai directed his warriors to split up and lie in wait for the enemy. For Subutai's strategy to be effective, he needed to spring his trap before the Rus recovered from their long pursuit. He sent his most fearsome Mangadai horse archers to draw the Rus quickly towards the ambush site. These highly skilled warriors could fire their bows rapidly while riding at speed. The Mongol provocation was effective, and the Rus hastily pursued. The Rus army had fallen for the feigned retreat and rode straight into the Mongol ambush. With the enemy surrounded, Subutai's battle-ready warriors descended from all sides.
Oh no, he has abilities. Oops.
The Mongol ambush was devastating, and Rus numbers were reduced to a few desperate stragglers. Seeing the fate of their comrades, the last Rus encircled themselves in a makeshift fort of baggage carts. The Rus stockade fell. Despite a valiant last stand, the remnants of the Rus army were cut down. Spurred on by the crushing victory at the Kalka River, the Mongols advanced ever further into the heartland of the Rus. In the noise and confusion of battle, communications were vital. One solution was the use of message arrows.
Signal arrows could be used to send messages to your drone troops. Faster than a man, faster than a horse.
It was the quickest way to communicate in the heat of battle. Whistling arrows were blunt, and most importantly, they announced their arrival. But they weren't just used to pass written messages. When shot in a volley, whistling arrows could be loud enough to signal to a small group of warriors, telling them both where and when to attack. On hearing the sound, they would gallop in and strike where the arrows landed. However, a much louder sound was required to sound the retreat or to communicate to the whole army. That was the job of the war drums.
The Mongols also used gongs, and the combinations of drums and gongs gave the Mongols a wide array of signaling options.
We do not know the exact rhythms they used, but basic commands could be conveyed with different percussive patterns. They enabled the Mongols to communicate with their own forces and strike fear into the enemy. They were the heartbeat of the Mongol army.
The girl in the black outfit that just stood on the right. She's the only one where I'm buying. The others just concentrated too hard on making a stern face. But it's still interesting. We've seen that one. So until we eat again, right? That wasn't that easy. I was expecting a different result almost. If I hadn't cheesed with those arches, those mounted arches, I could have went south rather quickly. So but it still worked out. So bye bye.